Breathe deeply and open your mind to something that's going to sound completely backwards at first. Everything you've been taught about attracting abundance is wrong. You've been told to raise your vibration, to think positive, to stay high energy, to push harder. But tonight, I'm going to reveal why the path to abundance actually requires you to drop your frequency first, why you have to go down before you can go up, why you have to release before you can receive, and why the moment you stop trying so hard is the moment everything flows to you. Before we go any further, I need you to do something that might feel strange. Leave a comment with these words: I release to receive, not I rise to receive, not I push to receive, but I release to receive, because that's the truth that changes everything. So write it now: I release to receive. Feel something. Let go inside you as you write it. This is the beginning of your surrender. Now, let me explain what I mean by dropping your frequency, because this is where most people get confused. When I say drop your frequency, I don't mean become depressed or negative or hopeless. I mean release the manic, forced, desperate energy that's actually blocking your abundance. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine someone who's trying really hard to manifest money. They're doing affirmations constantly. They're visualizing non-stop. They're thinking about money every second. They're in a state of high alert, high effort, high tension. Is this a high vibration? No. This is actually anxiety disguised as manifestation. This is desperation disguised as desire. This is force disguised as faith. Real high vibration doesn't feel like effort. It doesn't feel like striving. It doesn't feel like tension. Real high vibration feels like ease, like peace, like trust, like knowing. And to get to that state, you first have to drop the desperate frequency you've been operating at. You have to let go of the grasping. You have to release the forcing. You have to surrender the control. And yes, that feels like dropping. It feels like falling. It feels like giving up. But it's not. It's actually the moment you align with the natural flow of abundance. Think about a river. When you try to swim upstream, against the current, you're using massive amounts of energy and making very little progress. You're tense, you're struggling, you're exhausted. But the moment you stop swimming, the moment you let go and allow the current to carry you, everything changes. You move faster with zero effort. You flow, you glide, you're supported. The river was always ready to carry you, but it couldn't while you were fighting it. Your abundance is like that river. It's always been there. It's always been flowing, but you've been swimming against it with your force, your desperation, your need to control. And the moment you drop that frequency, the moment you release that tension, the moment you stop fighting, the current catches you, and abundance flows to you naturally, effortlessly, inevitably. This is why so many people have breakthrough moments when they give up. They've been trying and trying and trying for months or years. Nothing's working, they're exhausted, they're frustrated, and finally, they throw their hands up and say, I give up. I don't care anymore. Whatever happens, happens. And within days or weeks, the thing they wanted shows up. Not because they gave up, but because they finally dropped the frequency of desperation and entered the frequency of surrender. And surrender is where miracles happen. If you haven't already, write in the comments, I release to receive. And if this message is challenging everything you thought you knew about manifestation, good. That means your old paradigm is cracking. Subscribe to this channel and like this video, because what I'm sharing with you tonight is the truth that most manifestation teachers will never tell you. Now let me explain exactly what's happening energetically when you're in that forced, desperate frequency. When you're trying really hard to manifest something, when you're obsessing over it, when you're checking for it constantly, what you're actually doing is affirming its absence. You're saying to the universe, I don't have this. I need this. I'm incomplete without this. And the universe, being a mirror of your frequency, reflects back to you more of not having, more of needing, more of being incomplete. But it's worse than that. When you're in that desperate frequency, you're also creating resistance. You're clenching, you're contracting, you're closed. And abundance cannot flow into a closed system. Abundance requires openness. It requires receptivity. It requires space. But when you're gripping tightly to your desire, when you're forcing and pushing and straining, there's no space. You're like a clenched fist trying to catch water. The water can't get in. Not because the water isn't there, but because your hand is closed. So the first step to receiving abundance is unclenching. It's opening. It's creating space. And that requires dropping the forced frequency. It requires releasing the desperation. It requires surrendering the control. And yes, at first, that feels scary. It feels like giving up. It feels like you're not doing enough. Your ego will scream at you. Your old paradigm will panic. But you have to trust the process. You have to trust that releasing is not giving up. It's letting in. Let me give you a specific example. Let's say you desperately need money. Bills are due. Rent is coming. You're stressed. So you start doing affirmations. I am abundant. Money flows to me easily. But as you're saying these words, your body is tight. Your jaw is clenched. Your shoulders are raised. Your breath is shallow. You're vibrating at the frequency of desperation, no matter what words you're saying. The universe doesn't hear your words. It feels your vibration. And your vibration is saying, I don't have enough. I'm scared. I need this desperately. And so the universe sends you more situations that match that frequency. More lack, more fear, more desperation. But what if instead you did something radical? What if you stopped the affirmations? What if you stopped trying so hard? What if you just sat down, took a deep breath and said, you know what? I'm going to trust that this works out. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm going to stop fighting. I'm going to release this need to control. I'm going to drop into trust. And as you do this, your body relaxes, your shoulders drop, your jaw unclenches, your breath deepens. Your frequency literally drops from manic desperation to peaceful surrender. And in that moment, you've just opened the door for abundance to flow in. This is what I mean by your frequency must drop before abundance arrives. Not drop into negativity. Drop from force into flow. Drop from desperation into trust. Drop from control into surrender. Drop from tension into ease. That's the drop that matters. That's the frequency shift that changes everything. Now let me tell you about the 3 levels of frequency that most people cycle through when they're trying to manifest. Understanding these 3 levels will help you recognize where you are and how to make the shift. Level 1 is desperation. This is where most people start. They want something badly. They need it. They're obsessing over it. They're checking for it constantly. They're doing all the manifestation techniques, but from a place of lack. This frequency feels tense, anxious, needy, and it repels abundance because it's vibrating at the frequency of not having. Level 2 is forcing. This is where people go when desperation isn't working. They decide they need to try harder. They do more affirmations. They visualize more intensely. They take massive action, but it's all still coming from force, from pushing, from the belief that they have to make it happen. This frequency feels exhausting, stressful, overwhelming, and it blocks abundance because it's operating from the belief that the universe won't provide unless you force it to. Level 3 is surrender. This is where abundance lives. This is the frequency of trust, of faith, of knowing that what's yours is already on its way. You're still taking action, but it's inspired action, not forced action. You're still desiring, but it's peaceful desire, not desperate need. You're still visualizing, but from a place of gratitude for what's already yours, not from a place of lack. This frequency feels light, easy, peaceful, and it attracts abundance naturally because you're vibrating at the same frequency as abundance itself. Most people never reach level 3 because they think surrender means giving up. They think releasing means stop wanting. But that's not what surrender is. Surrender is not about giving up on your desire. It's about giving up the desperate need to control how and when it arrives. It's about trusting the universe to handle the details while you handle the frequency. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you truly surrender, the moment you truly release the desperate need for your desire, it shows up. Not because you stopped wanting it, but because you stopped blocking it with your desperation. You created space for it to arrive. You opened your clenched fist and the water could finally flow in. Write in the comments again, I release to receive. Each time you write this, you're programming your subconscious to let go of force and step into flow. Now, let me teach you exactly how to drop from the desperate or forcing frequency into the surrender frequency. Because this isn't something that just happens. This is something you practice. This is something you cultivate. And I'm going to give you a specific technique that works every single time if you commit to it. It's called the release practice, and it has 3 steps. First, awareness. You have to become aware of when you're in the forced frequency. Most people don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're manifesting, but they're actually blocking. So start paying attention to your body. When you're thinking about your desire, check in. Is your body tense? Is your breath shallow? Is your jaw clenched? Is your stomach tight? These are signs that you're in force mode, not flow mode. Second, acknowledgement. When you notice you're in force mode, don't judge yourself. Don't make yourself wrong. Just acknowledge it. Say to yourself, I notice I'm forcing right now. I notice I'm in desperation. I notice I'm trying to control. This simple acknowledgement begins to create space between you and the pattern. You're no longer identified with it. You're observing it. And what you can observe, you can change. Third, Release. This is the actual drop, and it's simple but profound. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, consciously let go. Let your shoulders drop, let your jaw soften, let your belly relax, and say silently or out loud, I release this to the universe. I trust that what's mine is already on its way. I don't need to force, I don't need to control, I simply need to allow. Feel yourself dropping from your head into your heart. Feel yourself dropping from tension into trust. Feel yourself dropping from force into flow. Do this every single time you catch yourself in force mode. And I'm telling you, if you do this consistently, within a week, you'll notice a shift. Your life will start to feel easier. Opportunities will start to appear. Things will start to work out in ways you didn't plan, because you're no longer blocking the flow with your desperation. You're allowing the current to carry you. Now let me address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but if I release, if I stop trying, won't I become passive? Won't I stop taking action? And the answer is no. Surrender doesn't mean passivity. It means inspired action instead of desperate action. When you're in force mode, you take action from fear. You do things because you're scared of what will happen if you don't. But when you're in surrender mode, you take action from inspiration. You do things because it feels right, because you're guided, because it aligns with your highest good. And here's the difference. Forced action is exhausting and often ineffective. You're pushing against the current. But inspired action is energizing and highly effective. You're flowing with the current. You accomplish more with less effort because you're aligned with the natural flow of the universe. So don't confuse surrender with doing nothing. Surrender is about releasing the desperate need to control the outcome while still taking the actions that feel aligned. It's about trusting that the universe will guide you to the right actions at the right time if you're open to receiving that guidance. And you can only receive that guidance when you drop out of the forced frequency and into the flow frequency. Let me share something personal with you. There was a time in my life when I was desperately trying to manifest a specific outcome. I was doing all the techniques, affirmations every morning, visualization every night, vision boards, scripting, everything, but nothing was happening. In fact, things were getting worse, and I was so frustrated. I was so exhausted. I was trying so hard and getting nowhere. And then one day, I just broke. I sat down and I cried, and I said out loud, I give up. I can't do this anymore. I don't know how to make this happen. I'm just going to trust that if it's meant for me, it will find me. And if it's not, then something better will. And in that moment, I felt this huge release, like a weight lifted off my chest. My body completely relaxed, and I felt this deep peace wash over me. And you know what happened? Within 2 weeks, the thing I had been desperately trying to manifest for months showed up. Not in the way I had planned, not through any of the actions I had been forcing, but through a completely unexpected avenue that I never would have seen if I had still been in force mode. The universe had been trying to bring it to me all along, but I was too busy forcing my way to see the door it was opening for me. That experience taught me everything I'm sharing with you tonight. It taught me that the path to abundance requires release. It taught me that dropping your frequency from force into flow is not giving up, it's lining up. It taught me that the universe has better plans for you than you have for yourself, but you can only see those plans when you release your grip on your own agenda. Now, I want to give you a specific practice to do tonight before you sleep. This is a practice that will help you drop from whatever forced frequency you've been operating at into the surrender frequency where abundance lives. It's called the letting go meditation, and it's going to change your life if you commit to it. Here's how it works. Get comfortable in your bed. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and then bring to mind something you've been desperately trying to manifest, something you've been forcing, something you've been obsessing over. Got it? Good. Now imagine that desire as a ball of light in your hands. See it clearly, feel its weight, and notice how tightly you've been gripping it. Notice how your hands are clenched around it. Notice the tension in your arms from holding on so tightly. Notice how exhausting it's been to grip this so hard for so long. And now, very slowly, begin to open your hands. Release your grip. Let the ball of light float up out of your hands and into the space above you. Watch it hover there. And as you do, say silently, I release this desire to the universe. I trust that if it's mine, it will come to me in the perfect way at the perfect time. And if something better is meant for me, I'm open to receiving that instead. I let go of my need to control. I let go of my desperation. I let go of my force. I trust. I allow. I receive. And as you say these words, feel your body relax. Feel the tension releasing. Feel yourself dropping from force into flow. And then imagine the ball of light dissolving into particles of golden light that rain down on you like gentle snow. This is the energy of your desire returning to you, but now in a frequency of ease instead of desperation. Feel it absorbing into your body. Feel it filling every cell with the knowing that what's yours is already on its way. You don't need to force, you don't need to control, you just need to trust and allow. Stay in this feeling for as long as you can, and then let it be the last thing in your consciousness as you drift off to sleep. Let your subconscious work with this frequency of surrender all night long. And trust that when you wake up tomorrow, something will have shifted. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel more at peace. You'll feel more aligned, and from that alignment, your abundance will flow naturally. Write one more time in the comments, I release to receive. Feel it settling into your bones. Feel yourself letting go of the old pattern of force. Feel yourself stepping into the new frequency of flow. Now I want to talk about what happens after you release, because this is where most people get tripped up. You do the release practice, you feel the shift, you feel lighter and more peaceful, and then, the next day, your old patterns try to kick back in. You start thinking about your desire again, and the desperation starts to creep back, the need to control starts to surface, and before you know it, you're back in force mode. This is normal. This is your old paradigm trying to reassert itself. Remember, you've been operating in force mode for a long time. It's your default. So it's going to take consistent practice to make surrender your new default. That's why you need to do the release practice not just once, but every day. Maybe even multiple times a day. Every time you catch yourself gripping, every time you notice yourself forcing, you stop, you breathe, and you release. And here's something powerful. The more you practice this, the faster you'll notice when you're in force mode. At first, you might realize hours later that you've been forcing all day, but gradually, you'll catch it in the moment. You'll feel the tension arise and immediately release it. You'll feel the desperation creep in and immediately surrender it. And eventually, surrender becomes your natural state. Flow becomes your default frequency, and abundance becomes your natural experience. But you have to be patient with yourself. You have to be gentle. You have to remember that this is a practice, not a destination. Some days you'll nail it. Some days you'll forget and slip back into force. That's okay. Just keep coming back to the release. Keep coming back to the surrender. Keep coming back to the trust, because every time you do, you're weakening the old paradigm and strengthening the new one. Let me tell you about another layer of this that's really important. When you drop your frequency from force into flow, when you release your desperate grip on your desire, something interesting happens. You start to notice other opportunities, other possibilities, other paths forward that you couldn't see before because you were so fixated on one specific outcome. This is one of the gifts of surrender. When you're in force mode, you have tunnel vision. You can only see one way for your desire to manifest, and if that way doesn't open up, you think you've failed. But when you surrender, when you release your attachment to how it has to happen, your vision opens up. You see multiple paths. You see opportunities you were blind to before.
You receive guidance you couldn't hear before, because you're no longer so noisy in your mind that the universe can't get through to you. And often, the path the universe has for you is better than the one you were forcing. It's easier, it's more aligned. It brings you not just what you wanted, but things you didn't even know you wanted. Things that serve your highest good in ways you couldn't have planned.
But you can only receive these gifts when you release your grip on your specific agenda and trust the universe to surprise you. This is why surrender is not giving up. Surrender is opening up. Opening up to possibilities beyond what your limited conscious mind could conceive. Opening up to solutions beyond what your old paradigm knows. Opening up to abundance beyond what you thought was possible. Now, let me give you one more technique that's extremely powerful for dropping your frequency from force into flow. It's called the trust fall. You know how in trust exercises, one person falls backward and trusts that someone will catch them. This is the energetic equivalent of that. Here's how you do it. Stand up for a moment, take a deep breath, and imagine that behind you is the universe, infinite intelligence, the source of all abundance. It's there, solid and strong, ready to support you. But you've been so busy trying to control everything, so busy forcing your way forward, that you haven't allowed yourself to lean back and let it support you. So now, very slowly, lean backward. Just a tiny bit at first. Feel the slight loss of control. Feel the vulnerability of not being perfectly balanced on your own. And as you lean back, say to yourself, I trust, I am supported, I can let go. And feel how, even though you're leaning back, you don't fall. You're held, you're supported. Do this a few times. Each time, lean back a little further. Each time, feel yourself dropping from control into trust. Each time, notice how you're held, how you're supported, how you don't fall even when you let go. This physical practice helps reprogram your nervous system. It teaches your body what surrender feels like, and it creates a new neural pathway that says, it's safe to let go, it's safe to trust. I am always supported. And then, when you're back in your regular life and you catch yourself in force mode, you can remember this feeling. You can remember the trust fall, and you can consciously choose to lean back into the support of the universe instead of forcing forward on your own. This practice, combined with the release practice and the letting go meditation, creates a complete system for dropping your frequency from force into flow. And when you make this shift, when you truly embody surrender, abundance doesn't just come to you. It pours to you, it floods to you, because you're no longer blocking it with your desperation. You're no longer repelling it with your force. You're simply allowing it, receiving it, welcoming it, and it responds by filling every area of your life. Let me be very clear about something. This doesn't mean you stop wanting things. This doesn't mean you stop having goals. This doesn't mean you become passive and just accept whatever comes. No, you still have desires. You still have visions. You still take action. But it all comes from a different place. It comes from trust instead of fear. It comes from inspiration instead of desperation. It comes from alignment instead of force. And from that place, everything is easier. Everything flows. Everything works out in ways that are often better than what you planned. Because you're working with the universe instead of against it. You're swimming with the current instead of against it. You're letting the river carry you to where you're meant to be. So tonight, as you prepare for sleep, I want you to make a commitment. Commit to practicing release every day for the next 30 days. Commit to catching yourself when you're in force mode and consciously dropping into flow mode. Commit to trusting the process even when you can't see the results yet. Commit to surrendering your need to control and opening yourself to receive. Place your hand on your heart right now and say silently, I release the need to force. I release the need to control. I release the desperate frequency that's been blocking my abundance. I drop into trust. I drop into flow. I drop into surrender. And from this place, I allow abundance to find me. I know that my frequency must drop before abundance arrives, and I'm ready to make that drop. I'm ready to release. I'm ready to receive. Feel that commitment settle into your chest. Feel it become part of your cellular memory. Feel it shifting your frequency right now in this moment. You're already dropping. You're already releasing. You're already opening. And abundance is already responding. Now take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let go of everything you've been carrying. Every worry, every fear, every desperate need to control. Just let it all go. Feel it releasing from your body like smoke, dissipating into air. And in its place, feel peace entering. Feel trust settling. Feel flow beginning. And know that this is not the end. This is the beginning. You're learning a new way of being. A way that doesn't exhaust you. A way that doesn't deplete you. A way that actually works because it aligns with how the universe operates. Abundance doesn't come to those who force. It comes to those who allow. It comes to those who release. It comes to those who trust. So tonight, release. Tomorrow, continue releasing. And watch what happens. Watch how doors open. Watch how opportunities appear. Watch how things work out in ways you never expected. Watch how abundance flows to you naturally when you stop blocking it with your force. This is the path. This is the way. This is the frequency shift that changes everything. Drop to rise. Release to receive. Surrender to succeed. Sleep well tonight. Let go deeply. And wake up tomorrow in the frequency of flow, ready to receive all the abundance that's been waiting for you to finally let it in. Good night.